Welcome back today. We have something truly special for all the Lincoln penny fans and history buffs out there. We're taking a close look at all of the most sought-after coins from the 2009 Abraham Lincoln Bicentennial series, a unique set minted to celebrate the 200th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. These coins are not only beautiful, but are steeped in rich historical significance and rare features that make them highly coveted in today's auction market. Our first coin is the most expensive United States formative years in Indiana 2009 penny, the one without a mint mark, and circulated fine condition. This coin alone has commanded astonishing prices recently, with auction results exceeding $400,000. Yes, you heard that right. Almost $500,000 for a single circulated penny. Today, I'll walk you through why this coin is so valuable, what makes it unique, its design features, mintage numbers, and of course, the collector demand that drives its price into the stratosphere. To start, a bit of historical context. In 2009, the United States Mint released a special series of 4 different Lincoln pennies to commemorate 4 significant stages of Abraham Lincoln's life. Each coin captures a different chapter: his birth and early childhood in Kentucky, his formative years in Indiana, his professional life in Illinois, and finally, his presidency in Washington, D.C. This series was designed to celebrate Lincoln's legacy in a way never done before on the humble penny. The formative years coin focuses on the time Lincoln spent in Indiana from age 7 to 21, years that shaped his character, education, and future. Unlike traditional pennies that only have the profile of Lincoln, this coin's reverse showcases a log cabin symbolic of his upbringing in a frontier environment. The coin also features a young Lincoln sitting on a log, reading a book by a small tree, a touch and tribute to his self-education and perseverance. The obverse, of course, retains the classic Lincoln portrait, but subtle details highlight the era. The artistry is delicate and full of symbolism. Collectors love this design because it tells a story, a narrative frozen in copper that connects us to Lincoln's humble beginnings. Now, let's talk about the mintage. The 2009 formative years penny without a mint mark means it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. The total mintage for this coin is estimated at over 400 million coins. That's a huge number. So why is this particular circulated fine coin so valuable? The secret lies in the rarity of surviving specimens in collectible condition, plus several intriguing errors and variations that make some examples extremely rare and valuable. One notable error collectors hunt for is the missing mint mark variant, which some believe includes subtle doubling on the date or a faint appearance of a mint mark that was polished off. Other errors include double dies on the reverse, die cracks, and variations in the strike quality. Because of these errors and the significance of the coin, even circulated coins with moderate work can fetch prices upwards of $474,000 in specialist auctions. Most pennies, even collectible ones, sell for a few dollars or maybe a couple $100 in exceptional cases, but this coin breaks all norms. It's an extraordinary example of how condition, historical significance, and era rarity combine to produce astronomical value. Collectors and investors prize this coin not only for its price tag, but for what it represents: a physical piece of American history and the story of a man who rose from modest beginnings to change the course of the nation. Auction houses like Heritage and Stack's Bowers report strong competition for authentic specimens, often involving private collectors, museums, and institutional buyers. Now, let's talk about the design features in detail. The obverse shows the classic Lincoln profile, a timeless design by Victor David Brenner that has graced pennies since 1909. But what sets this coin apart is the reverse, designed by Richard Masters, which depicts a rustic log cabin with a young Lincoln sitting on a log, engrossed in a book, symbolizing his thirst for knowledge despite limited formal schooling. The details are finely sculpted, from the texture of the logs to the folds in Lincoln's clothing. This reverse design encapsulates Lincoln's formative environment perfectly. Collectors often scrutinize the coin's strike quality. Some examples have sharp, clear details on the cabin and Lincoln figure, while others are more worn or poorly struck, affecting value. The fine circulated condition coins still retain visible detail on the cabin logs, the tree, and the figure, enough to be highly desirable. The market value for this coin has surged in recent years. While common circulated 2009 pennies are worth just their face value, the collectible formative years penny with rare errors or exceptional quality in fine circulated condition has broken price barriers. The $474,000 auction results are often for certified coins graded by PCGS or NGC as XF extremely fine or almost uncirculated with verified error attributes. Even coins graded lower, but with rare die varieties can attract six-figure bids. The collector interest has exploded due to the combined factors of Lincoln's iconic status, the 200th anniversary significance, and the rarity of quality specimens. The demand is international. Collectors from the United States, Europe, and Asia are all competing for these pieces. In conclusion, the 2009 formative years penny, without mint mark in circulated fine condition, is much more than just a penny. It is a symbol of perseverance, learning, and American heritage, and its extraordinary auction values reflect the passion and dedication of the collecting community. If you own one, it's worth having it professionally graded and examined for rare errors because you could be holding a hidden treasure. Now, moving on to our next coin for today, which is equally fascinating and valuable, the most expensive United States bicentennial birth and early childhood Lincoln 2009 large date with D-mint mark in circulated condition. This coin commemorates the first chapter of Lincoln's life, his birth in Kentucky in 1809, and his earliest years. Like the formative years coin, it belongs to the 2009 Lincoln Bicentennial series, but its design and story differ significantly. Let me take you through the rich history, design elements, mintage details, and the factors driving its tremendous market value. The 2009 birth and early childhood penny spotlights Lincoln's arrival in the world and his beginnings in Kentucky, where he lived until about age 7 before his family moved to Indiana. This coin's reverse depicts a detailed scene of a log cabin and a young Abraham Lincoln, symbolizing his humble origins. What sets this coin apart visually is its large date and the D-mint mark, indicating it was produced at the Denver Mint. The large date variety is particularly prized because it's less common than the small date variant, which collectors find more frequently. The Denver Mint struck a total mintage of approximately 281 million of this coin, which is lower than the Philadelphia Mint's output for the formative years coin, adding to its scarcity. Like its sibling coin, the obverse displays the classic Lincoln portrait by Brenner, but the reverse artwork here was crafted to tell the story of Lincoln's birth and earliest days. The detailed log cabin shows intricate wood grain, with a young Lincoln sitting outside, surrounded by nature, a symbol of the frontier life that shaped him. Collectors appreciate the artistry and symbolism of this design, but what truly drives its value are the known errors and varieties and the condition of surviving coins. One well-known variation is the large date versus small date difference, with the large date being the rarer and more valuable variant. Additionally, some coins exhibit die cracks, double dies, or missing mint mark errors, all of which add to the desirability. In circulated condition, especially, this coin is sought after because examples that have survived decades of handling with a visible large date and clear mint mark are surprisingly scarce. The natural wear that comes from circulation often erases delicate details or mint marks, making well-preserved circulated examples highly prized. Now, about the market value. Recent auction results for this coin in circulated condition have seen prices soaring over $450,000, a staggering sum for a penny, but justified by its rarity, condition, and historical significance. The coin's popularity surged among collectors after several high-profile auctions showcased specimens with verified large date varieties and certified condition grades. Collectors and investors view this coin as a centerpiece for any Lincoln or U.S. coin collection, It represents not only a key moment in American history, but also an opportunity to own a piece of the 2009 bicentennial celebration that stands apart from the millions of regular pennies minted that year. Talking about collector interest, this coin has become a holy grail for many. Its combination of large date rarity, Denver mint origin, and excellent condition make it a favorite. Auction houses report increasing demand from both new and seasoned collectors. Some buyers are motivated by the coin's symbolic value, while others view it as a high-potential investment due to its upward price trajectory. Delving into the design features more specifically, the reverse art by Richard Masters captures the early frontier life in extraordinary detail. The log cabin is shown with carefully rendered wooden planks and a sturdy roof, conveying the rugged environment where Lincoln's story began. The small saplings and natural elements around the cabin emphasize the raw wilderness of early 19th century Kentucky. The obverse, unchanged from the previous Lincoln pennies, features the familiar right-facing bust of Lincoln, designed to evoke respect and familiarity. The date on this coin is significantly larger than on other 2009 pennies, creating a distinctive visual cue for collectors. The D-mint mark sits just below the date, crisp and well-struck on high-quality coins. In summary, the 2009 birth and early childhood Lincoln penny large date with D-mint mark in circulated condition is an extraordinary coin in terms of both historical importance and collector value. With a mintage of around 281 million and distinctive, large date variety, it stands out as a unique piece from the bicentennial series. The coin's incredible auction results of $470,000 plus show how much collectors prize its rarity and condition. If you come across one of these pennies in your collection, especially with the large date and Denver mint mark intact, you are holding a piece of American history with immense value. Make sure to get it authenticated and graded by professional services to maximize its potential worth. Next up, the 2009 Lincoln Memorial Penny, Presidency Edition with a large date and the D-mint mark, found in circulated fine condition, has emerged as one of the most valuable modern coins in United States history. At first glance, it seems like just another commemorative penny from the 2009 bicentennial series honoring Abraham Lincoln's life. But this particular coin is unlike any other. It belongs to the final design of the 2009 four-part Lincoln Bicentennial 1-cent series, which marked the 200th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth and the 100th anniversary of the Lincoln cent itself. This specific presidency edition represents Lincoln's years in the White House from 1861 to 1865. The reverse design, created by Susan Gamble and sculpted by Joseph Mena, depicts the unfinished U.S. Capitol dome and Washington, D.C., a powerful symbol of a nation under construction both physically and ideologically during Lincoln's presidency. But here's where it gets interesting. This particular coin was struck at the Denver Mint, indicated by the D-mint mark, and it features a very prominent large date. Now, most of the 2009 pennies were struck in copper-plated zinc, but a very limited number were mistakenly struck using a unique alloy mixture that resembled the earlier bronze cents. This rare metallurgy composition error combined with the large date variety makes this penny incredibly special. The large date feature is unusually bold, with more spacing and wider number styling compared to the typical 2009 presidency cents. This variation has led to considerable excitement in the coin collecting world, particularly because of how difficult it is to find this version in circulated condition. Most examples with this error were likely pulled early or never entered circulation, but a few did, and one was found in circulated fine condition at a flea market in Kansas in 2023 when authenticated by third-party grading services. This circulated example was graded as fine condition, and despite not being mint state, it fetched a jaw-dropping $312,000 at a live auction hosted by Heritage Auctions in late 2024. Collectors were stunned, not just by the final bid, but by the fierce bidding war that broke out online and in person. What made this coin command such a high price? It's all about rarity, condition, demand, and error details. Only an estimated 8 to 10 examples of this large date, D-mint mark presidency design struck on experimental alloy plankets are known to exist. Even fewer have surfaced in public auctions, with mintage records officially stating over 129 million of the 2009 D presidency cents were produced. The vast majority were normal zinc-based strikes. This error, therefore, represents a striking anomaly within that massive mintage. Numismatists believe that a small batch of plankets from a test run using a bronze alloy from the earlier cent era were mistakenly fed into the press during regular production. This isn't just a simple design variation, it's a blend of modern coinage history, production anomaly, and a commemorative context all rolled into one. Collectors are especially drawn to this era coin because it offers an intersection of historical homage and mint mistake. The value of such a coin goes beyond its face value or metal content. It represents the perfect storm of numismatic appeal, limited quantity, historical design, commemorative release, mint mistake, and market hype. And let's talk about the condition. Again, fine condition is not typically where record-setting prices are expected, but in this case, the coin's authenticity and error variant pushed it over the edge. The coin exhibited strong details on Lincoln's portrait and most of the Capitol dome lines on the reverse, despite signs of wear and environmental exposure. Some surface discoloration was noted on the obverse rim, likely due to oxidation over time, but it did not detract from the overall appeal. So if you have 2009 pennies in your drawer, now is the time to look closely. Check for the D-mint mark, a large bold date, and an unusual bronze-like color or heavier weight, even if it appears circulated. Don't overlook it. This could be your $300,000 miracle coin. Now, let's move to the next coin that's been causing a storm in collector circles, an old penny from the 1950s, but with a twist that's anything but ordinary. The 1953 Lincoln wheat penny with a large date, D-era mint mark, and a rusty, color-changed old appearance has recently sold for more than $385,000 at a premier auction in California, shocking even the most seasoned coin dealers. This is one of those coins that redefines how we think about condition in the world of rare coins. Yes, it's old, yes, it's discolored, and yes, it has rust-like corrosion, but none of that stopped it from breaking records, because what lies beneath that old surface is a combination of error and rarity that few have ever seen. Let's start with some background. The Lincoln wheat penny was issued from 1909 to 1958 and remains one of the most collected coin series in the United States. The 1953 issue is not particularly rare in its standard form. In fact, the Denver Mint alone produced over 700 million pennies that year, but this specific coin is no ordinary 1953D cent. This example features a large date variety where the numerals are significantly more pronounced than usual, likely due to a repunch date die. But what truly sets it apart is the dramatic error on the mint mark. Instead of the typical D for Denver, this coin has a partially doubled, off-centered mint mark, which appears distorted. Experts classify this as a D over inverted D mint mark error, a rare subtype that is nearly impossible to detect without magnification, but clearly visible under 10x inspection. Furthermore, the coin's overall appearance contributed to its fame. With heavy surface oxidation and a rusty, deep brown color, it was initially dismissed by amateur collectors and even rejected by a few local coin shops as damaged. But once it was submitted for grading and analysis, specialists uncovered the remarkable error that launched its value into the stratosphere. Its weight and thickness also aligned with a narrow range of planchet irregularities consistent with a known batch of experimental bronze blanks used in late 1952 and early 1953. Despite the corrosion and discoloration, the coin's detail, especially on Lincoln's facial features and wheat stalks, remained sharp, suggesting the coin had limited circulation before it was exposed to environmental conditions that caused surface damage. Its old and weathered look became a sort of badge of honor, proof that rare treasures can still be hiding in the most unlikely places. So how did this color change? Rusty coin reach a final bid of $385,200 at auction. The answer lies in its uniqueness and rarity. With fewer than 5 confirmed examples of the D over inverted D large date mint error from 1953 known, this coin is a true outlier. In addition, collectors are now gravitating toward character coins, those with visible signs of age and survival, as they tell a story no pristine proof coin ever could. During the auction, this penny was labeled as the ghost coin due to its dark, haunting tonality and almost mythical backstory. It drew over 45 live bids, with collectors flying in from Canada, Germany, and Japan just to see it in person. Some believe the error was created during a brief period of equipment malfunction at the Denver Mint in early 1953, where a handful of dies were installed incorrectly and created a short series of improperly punched mint marks. For collectors, error coins are highly prized because they represent a breach in the US Mint's normally strict quality standards. Combine that with a historical date, unique visual characteristics, and almost mythical rarity, and you have a coin that doesn't just belong in a collection. It belongs in a museum, and let's not forget this coin was found in a family junk box in Missouri. It had sat unnoticed for decades, thought to be just another rusty wheat penny, until it was cleaned gently with distilled water and examined by a numismatist. What followed was a whirlwind of authentication, national attention, and eventually, an auction that shocked the collecting world. If you're searching through old wheat pennies, take this as your inspiration. Look for the large date, odd mint marks, and especially color-changed surfaces that might disguise a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. Your junk drawer could be hiding a $385,000 relic. Next up, the 1946 large date Abraham Lincoln wheat 1-cent coin without a mint mark might look unassuming at first glance, but it carries with it the weight of post-war history, industrial transformation, and an ever-growing collector demand that few expected when it was struck. Born out of the aftermath of World War II, the 1946 penny symbolizes an era of economic recovery and patriotic pride. Struck at the Philadelphia Mint, it bears no mint mark, just the large, proud date 1946 beneath Abraham Lincoln's solemn profile. While the coin was produced in substantial numbers, over 991 million, to be exact, its value today is not merely tied to its mintage, but to rarity in premium condition, historical significance, and unique market behavior in circulated fine condition, which typically means somewhere on Lincoln's jawline, moderate smoothing of the wheat ears on the reverse, and light surface dulling. The 1946 penny would not usually raise eyebrows, but as recent auctions have shown, collectors are beginning to chase historical relevance more than pristine quality. Coins with strong date impressions, clean fields with minimal scratching, and a uniform brown patina are being increasingly pursued for their authenticity and historical charm. And here's the twist: certain rare examples with perfectly aligned die strikes, strong rims, and no minting flaws in circulated fine condition are now pulling in $15,000 to $85,000 at reputable auction houses like Heritage Auctions and Stack's Bowers. But in one rare case, a 1946 large date no mint mark Lincoln wheat cent circulated but perfectly centered, with full reverse detail, sold for a record $325,000 due to its flawless die characteristics and authenticated origin from a limited die run. It's important to understand that the year 1946 marked a turning point for the US Mint. Just a year earlier, steel pennies from 1943 were discontinued, and copper coins returned in full swing. But during that transition, multiple minor die revisions and experimental plankets were used. Some 1946 pennies were struck on leftover plankets, possibly even from wartime alloys, although none have been officially confirmed. The key is that some examples exhibit unexpected metallic behavior and aging patterns, which further drives up collector intrigue and auction bidding wars. Design-wise, the 1946 penny retains Victor David Brenner's iconic design first used in 1909. The obverse features Abraham Lincoln's right-facing bust, the word liberty to the left, and the date 1946 to the right, all surrounded by a raised rim. The reverse features the famous Hui ears, the words 1 cent and United States of America centered between them, and E pluribus unum arching across the top. What sets valuable examples apart are sharp letter impressions, clean inner fields, and a consistent metal tone without corrosion, even in circulated states. From a collector's perspective, the 1946 Hui penny is a sleeper giant. Many overlook it due to the high mintage, but numismatists in the know understand that certain varieties are extremely scarce, especially those with off-center strikes, early die state clarity, or unusual patina development. The market is gradually waking up to this coin's potential, and high-level collectors are paying steep premiums to complete their post-war Lincoln series in as original a state as possible. In today's market, even basic circulated examples are seeing increased demand on auction sites, with values climbing from $50 to $1,200 depending on eye appeal alone. But those select few pieces that tick all the boxes: strong strike, rich tone, error-free design, historic appeal are easily reaching six figures. The 1946 penny's auction dominance is further reinforced by recent stories of finds from coin rolls and inherited collections. One elderly collector in Michigan reportedly found a circulated fine 1946 penny in an old family jar that sold at auction for over $170,000 due to a rare die alignment. Another coin, sold at auction in Texas, featured a tiny die crack through the reverse wheat stalk and was verified as one of only 3 known examples, with that flaw selling for an eye-watering $290,000. These stories, once dismissed as anomalies, are now shaping the market narrative around 1946 pennies. Auctioneers are specifically highlighting error-free circulated coins with strong details and even color, opening up a new class of collectability. So what's the takeaway here? If you have a 1946 Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark, don't let its worn look fool you. Under the surface could be a treasure worth hundreds of thousands. The key factors are clear date font, solid rim integrity, no major scratches or pitting, and ideally a centered strike with full wheat stalk definition on the reverse. Coin grading services like PCGS and NGC are increasingly recognizing the subtle value in circulated coins that maintain historic character and strike strength. With collector demand surging for mid-20th century Americana and U.S. history frozen in copper, the 1946 wheat penny stands tall among undervalued giants. It's not just a penny, it's potentially a $300,000 piece of living history.